First thing you do, you enter it with open arms. You embrace it. And again, this is 21, 22-year-old kids. We embrace it. We want to be a part of that fiber. We feel that loyalty because, first of all, nobody showed us that love on that level, on a professional level to that point. Then they giving us mad money, a whole ton of bread. So we're like, everywhere you go, this is Keo that plays with the Bengals. This is Tutan that plays with the Saints. These are people that now, in that community, you're known.
Yep.
First thing you do, you get a charity in that community, right? That's your home. That's where you start to put your roots at, and you have that loyalty to the team. But does the team have loyalty to you?
Dun, dun, dun.
You know what I'm saying?
Negative.
Behind the mask.
What up, my dude?
What's good, family? Another day in paradise. You know what it is.
What's up with your energy today?
Hey, man, my energy is great. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling real like I'm from the crib and everything, representing BTM to the fullest. BTM ain't nothing with, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? You feel me? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
New York City is in the building, people.
In the building. He has arrived. What's good, family?
Hey, man, you know, I'm on the good side of the soil.
Absolutely.
As the old people would say, the old Southern people would say.
Absolutely.
But nah, man, we got some good stuff to talk about today, man.
As always.
Anytime I get a chance to converse with my dog, man, it's always going to be good. And we got to enlighten everybody and let everybody know. Two brothers who got some sense now.
No doubt, no doubt.
We going to entertain you and we ain't got to do nothing killing the race.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Telling these untold stories, going behind the mask, truly what happens in the NFL, in life, in our lives, in sports, correlated to the people, man. And there's no other time, the ups and downs. We talk about another day in paradise, but for some, it's paradise. This week for others, a little bit of uncertainty.
Cut week!
That Reaper come.
Man, this is a horrible week.
For some, yeah.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
Because this is the last opportunity that you really can show what you can do. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I would say the majority of guys who are going to make the team, they already know who they are.
Yeah.
Then you really got the guys who are really just hanging on the fence.
On the bubble, yeah.
And so I think about some of the guys or the teammates I played with who come from less fortunate situations. Mm-hmm. Like, this is everything to them, bro.
Yeah, man. And then what happens is you go into this last week, you start to feel it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you weren't playing in the other preseason games, but this game, you're getting more reps in practice. This game, you're starting to play. And you start to feel like, you know what, this is my last time to shine. But at the end of the day, all NFL teams, all rosters get chopped down to, 53?
53.
You know what I'm saying? So then at that point.
And another, 8 to 11 practice squad,
something like that. So now guys that were a few months previously were feeling like, you know what, I'm in the NFL. This is my lifelong dream. This is great. Now you're in that bubble and, you know, walking off that cliff, so to speak, and it happens just like that. And we talk about some of the stories that we've had going with the ups and downs of training camps, the NFL. I've been cut a couple times, people. It is what it is. There's no secret. I don't care. I'm in a good space in my life. You know what I'm saying? My kids can't cut me, so I'm good. You know, you feel me? But at the end of the day, it makes you feel like I got brought into the NFL. I felt the love. I felt the loyalty. But is there really loyalty?
You say you felt the what?
I felt the love. I felt the loyalty.
So you was one of them who just, they drafted me and I
was crying like, yeah, I wanted to.
I was too.
Thank you, man. Stop fronting like you wasn't, man. And
I can't lie.
Like when you,
but it hurts though.
It does, one way or the other. When you get that call, well, for you, you weren't at the draft, but you got the call that you were going to get drafted.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. You had the Steve Harvey suit on. I remember that. But then you were a first round pick. You're a first round pick. And think about the first round picks, right? They walk across the stage. What's the first thing they do?
Man, you walk across that stage, bro, and it's like, thank you for letting me tell that story because you couldn't talk about that.
I can't.
No shots fired, but that was a great catch on you.
All right.
But
proceed.
No, I think when you look at it, bro, it's like you get the opportunity, you come across the stage, and the commissioner is up there standing all tall.
Yeah.
It's Roger now. Back then it was Paul Tagliabue.
Yeah.
And the first thing he does is, Takeo Spikes. You walk out there, yeah, I did it.
Uh-huh.
You look at the commissioner, he got my hat. Get it in here. That's what Roger's telling the guy. Get it in here. Yeah. Love it up. And you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
You're a household name.
Facts.
And you love that feeling because now you know favorite comes in this form right here.
Mm-hmm.
I may mess up a little bit more than other people, but they're not going to look at me the same because I'm a first-round pick versus you being a seventh-round pick or undrafted. Now, they think you're dumb.
Yeah. Think you don't
You
have
get favor. You got time. You got patience.
Absolutely. And you start to feel that same love, that same loyalty, like I belong. I'm a part of this team, right? The first thing they do, like you said, they give you that hat with the team name on it. So you like, I'm a Cincinnati Bengal. Like, yes, I'm a Bengal. Even with me, I got called by the Saints. I'm like, yeah, I want to play with the Saints. You saw? Yeah. You in shape? Yes. You want to play? Hell yeah. New Orleans. I ain't never been to New Orleans a day in my life, but I feel like I'm a part of that community now, right? First thing you do, you enter it with open arms. You embrace it. And again, this is 21, 22-year-old kids. We embrace it. We want to be a part of that fiber. We feel that loyalty because, first of all, nobody showed us that love on that level, on a professional level to that point. Then they giving us mad money, a whole ton of bread. So we're like, everywhere you go, this is Keo that plays with the Bengals. This is Tutan that plays with the Saints. These are people that now, in that community, you're known.
Yep.
First thing you do, you get a charity in that community, right? That's your home. That's where you start to put your roots at, and you have that loyalty to the team. But does the team have loyalty to you?
Dun, dun, dun.
You know what I'm saying?
Negative,
yeah.
And bottom line, what makes this week so hard is it's self-inflicted pressure that players have on themselves. Mm-hmm. But then also knowing, man, I got to do something and show up and win these people over, making sure that somebody on the coaching side has favor for them to be able to fight for them to make that 53-man roster.
Yeah.
And when it don't happen, meaning if they don't perform, like some of the coldest, gut-wrenching sights I've ever seen has came walking inside of a locker room on cut week, and you see some guys they trying to get there as early as possible. Yeah. The smart ones are, because it's embarrassing.
It is.
They won't even let you walk inside of the locker room just to paint a picture for you. Mm-hmm. They right there. You got we used to call our guy the Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper, yeah.
Lippincott in Cincinnati. And he was doing his job. Yeah. But I remember at times, man, it was, we were hoping one guy made it.
Yeah.
And I remember we were in the locker room just waiting, like, man, like if he comes through this door within like the next 2-3 minutes, everything good. I remember he came through the door. We celebrated. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he came to his locker. He was like, man, let me just go use the bathroom right quick before I go to this team meeting. We waiting. We see Lippincott come back. He comes over and asks us. Goes right in the bathroom. We were like, what do you want with him?
Yeah, in the bathroom.
I'm sorry. He was in the stall, sir.
This how gut-wrenching it is.
Taking a dump. He don't then come over, hit him. Hey, bring your playbook to the office upstairs. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on, dog. Like, that just ain't right.
Couldn't wait.
At least call the man tonight. You know when them decisions are made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's the part what makes us so bitter, the embarrassment that comes along with it. And nobody's saying you got to baby anybody, but it's I was always taught, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lost art. Call it whatever you want to, but that's the lost translation that a lot of times what make players so mad when it comes to cut day. You hate that. This man here could have been in and out. Yeah. You don't let him win in there and got comfortable, thinking he finna go in here and hear the team meeting.
Work out. And
And then you cutting him short because now you calling his name on the stall.
Yeah, man.
Come on, man.
It's a cold world, man. And sometimes I've seen guys even come into the facility on cut day, right? Typically on that cut day, you have a walkthrough. You know what I mean? Because it's right at the end of the last preseason game. It's the next day after the next practice after what have you. So you're starting to prepare for week one, right? But as you go into practice, you see that walkthrough where everybody goes to the walkthrough. You have the workouts and everything. So like you said, Spikes, the team knows that they're not going to keep this player. So why are you going to let them get this last workout in? You know what I'm saying? Let them go through the walkthrough. When they're on the walkthrough, they're typically on the scout team. And then you're going to let this player go through all of that. Just soon as he comes in, not even shower yet, to tap him like, hey, bring your playbook upstairs. You knew my damn playbook needed to be upstairs before we came into practice today.
My damn playbook.
You know what I'm saying?
You want
Get it yourself. Bad. And that happened. Honestly, bro.
Get the fucking chicken.
That right. Listen, I never got tapped on the shoulder by the Turk or the Grim Reaper. But what I did to get a phone call one time. Crazy, right? So I'm in Jacksonville. I think it's my 7th year in the league, right? At this point, I'm pretty much a serviceable swing guy, backup dude, right? So I'm in Duval. I get called halfway through the preseason because my OG, Chris Naoli, was hurt. He's banged up. He was actually the starting guard when I got drafted with the Saints 7 years prior. So now I'm in Jacksonville, and Naoli's there. He's banged up. They called me up, go through preseason, got there on like a Thursday, started that Saturday. I'm playing, balling, doing my thing. So now, as preseason goes on, Naoli's still banged up. I'm not playing. But I'm like, it's around Labor Day, around this time. I said, you know what? I'm going to go back home because Ty had his first Pop Warner football game. I'm like, I'm about to see my son. But the teams tell you don't leave. Yeah. I'm like, nah, I'm about to go see my son play later for this. I don't know if I'm going to make the team or not. But in any event, I'm going to be in Atlanta. So I come back to the crib, and as I'm at his game, I get a phone call like, hey, Tu, where you at? I'm like, what's up? I'm at my son's football game. Is it in Jacksonville? Nah, we live in Atlanta, in Kennesaw. He's like, well, we need to get your playbook. I'm like, dang. I was like, all right, well.
You didn't ask like you already knew the verbiage and the lingo.
Well, yeah, because again, 7 years in the league, you kind of seen it. Yeah, you know what is going on. So I was just like, you know what? I said, all right, well, I ain't going to be able to bring it to y'all today. Y'all going to have to wait till I get back in town. Well, when you coming back, I'll be back Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, so cool. Come back Tuesday. Remember, Naoli was my OG. Yep. So I tell him, I'm like, damn, bro, I'm jammed up. I'm thinking I'm going to make the squad or whatever. And now they saying, you getting cut or whatever, bringing the playbook. So now I'm just like, all right, let me get ready to turn right back around after I bring the playbook and go back to Atlanta. So I stayed there overnight in Jacksonville. The next morning they called me and said, hey, Tutan, don't leave yet. We're going to sign you back because Naoli's not ready to play yet. Mind you, I had a conversation. with Naoli saying, hey, bro, I'm jammed up. They're going to leave me. He's like, oh, big. He's from Hawaii. Oh, brother, don't worry. I got you covered. So I'm thinking like, what is he talking about? He got me covered. So we go through the week, right? I'm still in Jacksonville now, thinking I got cut, signed, all of this stuff. Go through week one.
Yep.
You only have to be on the opening day roster, which starts the Wednesday of week one, to get your salary guarantee for the year.
Right.
I'm a veteran.
Yep.
My big bro, Naoli, is like, oh, brother, I got you covered. So he's like, I can't play. I'm not going to make it, all of this. I'm sitting there and they're like, yeah, we're going to keep you because Chris can't play. He can't go this week. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm getting ready. On the roster. I make Wednesday, I'm good. Guaranteed 750, 800,000 for the year. I'm good. So Naoli's still out. I'm thinking, I'm getting ready to play. Thursday, Naoli comes in there. Oh, I think I'm good. I'm ready to play. I'm like, so what does that mean for me? Well, nothing, because I got a guaranteed 750, 800 coming in. Yes, I'm cool.
It means you good.
I'm good. So I dress out week one. I don't play. Naoli plays, does a phenomenal job and everything. But after that week, they're like, all right, Tu, we have too many offensive linemen. We got to let you go. Numbers. Cool. It is what it is. I'm guaranteed my money. I go back to the crib, chill with my son. I dap up Chris. He's like, brother, I told you I got you covered. So he took care of me, right? Just like that. Now, here's the thing. Remember, I don't know if they still do it now. They had this thing called double dipping.
Yeah.
So you get your guaranteed contract, and if you get signed by another team, your league minimum is prorated, or your contract is prorated for the amount of games you play.
Right.
So it goes on through the season. By week 5, I'm still at the crib. Naoli gets banged up. Jacksonville calls me back, say, Tu, we need you to come back.
Wow.
So now I got
You
the pro
double
dip king on him. You know what I'm saying?
Only time it's got to double dip.
Shout out to Chris Naoli for looking out for your bro. You know what I'm saying? So I come back to Jacksonville, and now I get the 750, 800, whatever it was, and then I get the prorated, which is like another 700. So for me, as a backup, I got 1.4, 1.5, and I ain't do nothing but chill and coach my son's Pop Warner games for a couple of games and played half of the season. Perfect.
Beautiful. You kidding me?
So that's the flip side, because there's no loyalty. And why didn't they only do that? They owed him a contract. They were supposed to pay him, but they was BSing with the money. So he was like, y'all gonna pay us one way or another. And meaning us, meaning the players.
Yeah.
So the players have loyalty to each other. But to the teams, it's a business. And we got to treat it like a business. And that's exactly what Chris did, bro.
You have to, man. And you definitely benefited off of that.
Hell yeah.
2 times.
Cha-ching. Give me that bread, baby.
No, I never heard that story.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and they only looked out, man. Definitely, definitely. And I mean, there's so many stories on the flip side to where it can benefit a player, or 9 times out of 10, though, like we talked about, it doesn't. You know what I mean? You have players that have that loyalty to the team, like Chris did, taking the home, what do they call it, the home team discount?
Home team discount.
Home team discount only for the
He's
team.
a hometown hero.
Yeah, only for a team later on to kind of throw it in your face when it's really time to negotiate. And I know you've been in the league 15 years. I'm pretty sure on the teams that you've been on, you've heard situations or saw situations where guys thought they were a pillar of the team, pillar of the community, but when it came to the team doing a player right, they weren't able to do that.
Yeah, for me, I think the more recent one, I would say DeForest Buckner, who came out of, great football player.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle. He got drafted to San Francisco, and he was traded away, actually to the Colts. And I think what made it so bad with his situation is, he was a shoo-in now. It was him and Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead got his money before, which was surprising because typically, they'll take, not saying Eric was no slouch at all, but they would typically pay the more dominant one. And at that time, I think it was apparent that everybody saw
it was Buck.
It was Buck. And so, they went through negotiations and nothing could get done. And so when the trade had happened, people were like, mad, upset. 49ers fans, why didn't we retain him? And what added fuel to the fire, Buck came out and said, I was willing to meet them halfway, and they knew that. And so, but I guess John Lynch saw something else.
Yeah.
Whoever. They seem to be doing okay right now.
Yeah.
But bottom line, it goes back to that loyalty. I think about even T.O. when T.O. was there in San Francisco, and then he was traded to Baltimore. We wanted to go to Philly, but ended up going to Baltimore because I think the team said he wasn't a free agent, and because his agent or something didn't sign the paperwork.
Yeah.
And after all of that debacle, he ended up in Philly.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at it, man, as a player, it's not even really as a player. It's more so as a businessman. You got to understand, you got to be able to separate it. You have to.
You do. But how difficult is that when you're 21, 22, and this 9 times out of 10, now it's NILs, I get it.
Yeah.
But back when we played up to a year or two ago, this was your first venture into being a businessman, being a brand, being your own entity. You know what I'm saying? So how do you, and then of course, when we get to the NFL, the first thing they do is put the paper in front of you, sign over your name, image, and likeness so we can market it for a video game that's going to give you 10, 12, 15,000, whatever it is a year. But you still licensing your name or for the league to use. So how do you combat that, not knowing, coming to the league to know, you know what? Yeah, it feels like family, but it's really just business.
You have to get some. I truly believe you have to have some type of proper representation.
Yeah.
And, you see a lot of good young men out there today, several, I wouldn't say a lot. I think Darius Leonard is one of them who represents himself.
Yeah.
And I admire them for that. But I also do know regardless of how great you are as a player, businessman, when you're representing yourself, you know, you don't become great at a certain or particular craft unless if you have a team, even if they're in the background. And so I think that's important as a player to make sure, how can I separate this as much as I possibly can? You got to have somebody there always reminding you, I know it feels good. You feel like you're in college, but that person got to tell you, listen, if something happens to you, if they don't have any more use for you, they're going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Like, they ain't drafting you because hey, like, I want to just hang around and want Takeo part of my organization. No, dumbass.
They drafting you to replace somebody.
Yeah, they drafting you to replace you.
And then they drafting somebody else to replace you.
Yeah, and guess what? If they're held accountable, you know, as coaches, you know, from a representation standpoint, what you always have to have that person telling you is this. If something was to happen to you, yeah, you're gone. Yeah. But I do also want you to know, too, if that coach is in a meeting room and they're challenging him about the defensive line isn't playing well, he will throw you under the bus. Yeah. I'm not going to say all, but because I'm just saying, like, piss falls downhill.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is. And so you got to have somebody who continues. If it's a high, let you have that emotional high. Yeah. But an hour later, I'm going to bring you over, listen. This is what it is perception-wise, just so that you're always awake.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have that situation? I mean, I talked about mine with the Jags, and, you know what I mean, you've been on a couple teams yourself, so was there ever a situation where you were like, all right, I feel loyalty to this particular team, and you know what, it really didn't pan out the way I thought it was going to pan out?
Oh, yeah. Philadelphia. No, well, Buffalo.
Both?
It was both that you bring it up. But
give me one, go ahead.
I'm not going to go. Buffalo is.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
too,
we talked about that.
Yeah.
Philly. You know, that one for me, because it meant a lot. I was received from Buffalo in a trade.
Yeah.
And so from that, I'm playing. I got 2 years left on my deal. And I'm averaging 5 a year. And so we go through the season. For me, what was important, I knew I could not get hurt just because I was hurt 2 years prior to that in Buffalo, missing those games. And then the next year I came back because I wasn't healthy, tore my hamstring and missed 4 games. So I got to the 15th game of the year in Philly. Mm-hmm. And I had a good year. It wasn't exceptional, but it was a good year. Mm. And 15th game of the year, man, I tried to hit Tony Romo, pull my damn shoulder out of place. Never. I was like, how could this shit happen? So I get up and I'm like, man, I'm not going out, man. I'm not hurt. Yeah. I'm telling you. Bro, I tried, that lineman came off on me. I was just like, I was like, I'm hurt. Bruh. So,
oh, man.
You know, so anyway, man, like, I knew then at that time, I was like, I couldn't afford to get hurt in Philly because now they're going to be making me try to take a pay cut.
Right.
And so I was like, fuck.
Because now they want to label you
they want to label me as injury prone, been hurt 2 out of the last 3 years to where I didn't finish the season. But anyway, fast forward a little bit. So I was like, all right, I got to get through typical April, March, whenever it is, free agency and everything when they're making room. So we go through it. They wanted me to stay for rehab, which I didn't want to. But
that'd be the worst, don't it?
The worst, and it's cold in Philly. It was cold, man. And so, bro, I stayed, did my workouts, eating cheesesteaks after every damn near every day. Anyway, let me stay on the story. So I would go inside of the training room with the trainer and do rehab on my shoulder because I tore my rotator cuff from that game, the Dallas game at the end of the year. And, you know, it's, you know, the mood was off a little bit. I didn't know what I didn't know, but I did know something.
You felt it.
I just felt it. And I could just tell going in the training room, they were like, hey, you know, you got to stay up here the whole time. I'm like, man, You want me to stay up here and just do this and do that? Man, I could do that at home. So I'm like, come on, man. He was like, well, no, we'll give you like an extra day, but all right, cool. I already knew the situation I was in. Go in this particular day for rehab. Leave out of the building. Go home. I'm getting ready to pack my clothes and get ready to shoot back to the A. Mm-hmm. So they came to, my agent hit me and he was like, hey, the Eagles want you to take a pay cut. And I was like, but for what? I already knew for what. I just wanted to be an ass.
It got you.
He was like, yeah, this and that. And I was like, I'm not taking a pay cut. You shouldn't have gave it to me.
Yeah.
You ain't finna get nothing back. You won't give me
backsies.
So he was like, let's just talk about it. Went through the different case scenarios. And I was like, no, I'm not. The reason why I'm not is because Joe Banner, the GM, he was notorious for like Joe didn't have a heart. And listen, Joe cut so many dudes, and I'm talking about relevant people who still had good football left in him, but he was straight black and white businessman.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not, because Joe cut Jeremiah Trotter. When Trot came back from the Redskins to Philly. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, cool, man. Like, me and Trot finna be together. Like, we finna make some noise. So I saw how they mistreated him in training camp, where he was starting. Mm-hmm. Then they wouldn't even allow him to take a snap in 9-on-7. Now listen.
For health reasons or like?
No, it wasn't even for health reasons.
Vet reasons?
It was just, we don't want him to get hurt because we know we're about to cut him. And they wouldn't even let him.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't let him do it, bro. And that was one of the first times I walked inside of a locker room and it felt like it was a funeral. The respect that Brian Dawkins had for Trot, D. Howard, Donovan, all of the guys, man, Brian Westbrook, the respect that everybody had for him and how they just saw, like, man, this is the Axe Man. Yeah. And you won't do this to the Axe Man in front of us? After this, we've been to 3 NFC championships. Like, right? So, and a Super Bowl. So I'm like, bro, like, for me, that really woke me up from that standpoint. And I just resorted back to that when I was driving, and I was like, I'm not taking a pay cut. You're not finna do me like that. Yeah. Like, so I just told Andy Reid, I said, look, Andy, this is why I love Andy Reid. Love him anyway, principal man. Told Andy what was going on. Andy was like, what now? I could tell he didn't know. And I told him, I was like, Andy, look, they want me to take a pay cut. I'm not taking one just because I don't want to be in the same situation like Trot. Yeah. Like, I would be a fool. Smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from others. I've been watching. So if you can cut me now so I can still have an opportunity to play with a contending team, I would greatly appreciate it. Yeah. I've done, and this is exactly what I told him. I have done everything you asked me to do. Mm-hmm. Your goals, they were my goals when I came here before you and I even met. We want to win the same thing, and I will do it at any cost. I didn't get in the way of that, Andy. So the least you can do, I would appreciate it. Still remember, if you can call Joe Banner and push this along, because I don't want to be in a situation to where I'm playing with a bad team. Mm-hmm. I've been doing that for 10 years out of my life. And so, man, about like 3 hours later, Andy Reid hit me back. He was like, Takeo, I just want to tell you, I hate everything went down the way that it did. He was like, you always remember now, this doesn't define you. You know what happened. Yeah. You getting cut because you making too much money and they want to reduce your pay.
Business.
Yeah. He was like, it's a business decision. And I was like, and I said, it's cool. But I said, I still don't like it though. Y'all gave it to you. You shouldn't have gave it to me.
Facts.
So, but had a great relationship. And then from that point, I don't regret it because that's when I became a 49er.
Facts. There it is.
Yeah, dog.
So that shows where had you been loyal, took a pay cut, like yes, we're in it to win a Super Bowl. Yes, we're in it to play the game that we've loved to play since we were this high. Yes, we're in it because we have an opportunity to support our families and our lifestyles and change the trajectory of our future. But you can't do that if you're not making the money that you're supposed to be making.
Nah.
And that's why you play. Part of the reason why you play so hard and go so hard, and we in our 20s running through a wall, but when you get to your 30s, it's like, I'm not running through that wall no more. I've done that for 10 years, for 5 years, for 7 years. I'm gonna slow down, and I see this as another way to get to the other side than running through this wall. I'm gonna fake this damn wall out, make this wall think I'm running at it, and when it goes like this, I'm gonna get around the wall. You know what I'm saying? And that's just an analogy, but you learn as a veteran there's different ways to do things, and when you become that veteran, then it's like, you know what? Nah, that loyalty ain't there. This is a business. Now let me flip my mindset. You know what I mean? And I think back to all the players, again, shout out to the GOAT LT. He said, when I was done playing with the Giants,
guess what happened the next week?
They had a game the next week.
If you wasn't listening to that, go back and catch up on that episode.
But I found out one thing. As soon as I retired, they had a football game the very next Sunday.
Listen, and it happens across the board, not just NFL. We talking about with LeBron. And the fans, I understand what you guys are feeling, but that ain't the reality. Because guess what? Cleveland moved on from LeBron. LeBron had the loyalty and came back. It happens all the time. We look back to when we were growing up, Joe Montana moved on from the 49ers. The 49ers, I should say, moved on from Joe Montana
to KC.
And Joe Montana became a chief. Like, you think about the iconic trades or releases in history. And
even Donovan getting traded to
the Redskins back then. Yeah, the Redskins. It's like
in the same division.
It's like, how?
And that never happened.
How? You know what I'm saying? So that loyalty ultimately at the end of the day isn't there when it comes from the team to the player. So the player, chase your bread, chase whatever it is your passion is, and don't feel no sort of way. The only person that I could think of, 1,500 players in the NFL.
Yep.
32 teams. The only person I could see that loyalty in is Warrick Dunn. Played with the Falcons. Arthur Blank allowed him to be an owner of the team that he played for. That don't happen, particularly with us.
Nah.
Next to never.
That's real talk.
And it's 1,500 players in the NFL every year. Recycled, in and out. Some get cut, some come on, some get drafted, free agency, some come off the street. 32 teams, that's really not changing. But the fact remains the same. Those teams are going to be there. Case in point, you played 15 years, right?
Yep.
I played 10 years in the NFL. Everybody watching, listening to this show, y'all have watched sports, football, whatever for a long time. Appreciate y'all. But when we done, y'all still watching y'all teams. Before we played, your parents was watching the teams in the league. The teams in the leagues ain't going nowhere.
So let me ask you this, or should I even just say
Ain't no loyalty. That's what ain't no damn loyalty, man. Nobody, Loyalty to yourself, loyalty to your family, loyalty to what means the best to you. That's what it's about, man. And you can take it or leave it. Keep your fantasy teams and all of that. Yeah, that's all set. That's all well and good, but ain't no damn loyalty, man.
That's right. That's why I ain't gonna give you no fantasy picks this year. None.
Not never.
I'm taking all the bread this year.
But again, going back to that 20-year-old kid that came into the league, came into the NFL, NBA, whatever, and you feeling like I'm a part of this, what's the one thing we do once it's all said and done? You play for the team that drafted you or you got signed to, you move on, you make some money somewhere else, you go elsewhere, play for other teams and everything. What do you do when you finally retire? You go back and say, I'm going to sign a one-day contract and retire as
your beginning team.
Your beginning team. That's loyalty from the player. That team one thing about you the last 10, 15 years.
Does it come with a signing bonus?
Hell no. You sign for nothing. When you say I'm going to sign that one-day contract, you also put, I'm not getting paid for this one day. I just want to retire as a Bengal, as a Saint, as whatever team that you started with.
Yeah.
How many times have we heard that over and over and over in sports? Because as kids, we have that loyalty. But nah, it's a business, bro.
Real talk.
Behind the Mask.